Aftab Shivdasani, good to see you, bro. How you doing?
Likewise, buddy. It's been ages, man. How are you doing? I'm good.
I'm well. You really now are the template for anybody who's scared of COVID-19 because you've come out of it smiling, happy. I'm sure it wasn't that easy a ride, but treat this like a social service message. How did you get through it, man? Big ups to you. We were worried about you, but
Man,
you've come through.
thanks, man. Thanks so much. It's nice to know that you're out of it and everything's back normal. But the thing is, the symptoms were like flu, to be honest with you. And like we all know, because there's so much of knowledge out there that the symptoms are like flu. So it's basically weakness, it's fever, and you get a bit of a sore throat, you get body ache. Some people get headaches. In my case, I didn't get a headache or a sore throat. I got a bit of fever. I got a massive body ache and just complete weakness. So, I mean, of course, we did all the protocol procedures by informing the authorities, the BMC. I spoke to my doctor, and then he prescribed me on antibiotics, which was a 5-day course. And I'm just trying to run you through the screenplay, so like you said, it's a social service message, so people will kind of know exactly what went down. And of course, I was advised home quarantine in isolation, luckily, and all the tests that I did, which namely were a chest CT scan and a regular blood test to check certain levels of certain things in the blood, which are quite technical, and they all seemed to be normal and in normal range. So there was no threat to the chest or threat to any infection in the blood, which then made them quarantine me at home. And then on the 5-day course of the antibiotics, on the fourth day, I started feeling absolutely normal. Just for the first 4 days, I was absolutely weak and I felt tired and stuff. Of course, there was a fluctuation in fever. I had to constantly check my oxygen levels. All of that protocol happened. And at the end of the fourth day, I was actually fine, except for I had a dry cough in my throat. That carried on for about 2 weeks. And every 5 or 6 days, I was advised to do a blood test. And at the end of 2 weeks, when I did my RT-PCR test again, unfortunately, it came out positive again. And that was quite a bummer because I was all set to leave back for the UK, where I am at the moment with my family. And then when it came positive, of course, I could not fly, and there's nothing I could do about it, because the doctor said sometimes when the infection is still in your system, the virus is dead, sometimes it pops up as positive. So that is something that we'll just have to live with, and we'll have to do the test again after a week. So it became a weekly test, and then after the third week, when I did another test, it came negative by the grace of God. And then as soon as he advised me that I can fly out, I took the next flight out to my family. But I want to just tell people that uh, it is like a flu. Two things you must keep in mind is that, don't panic mentally and psychologically, because that kind of really worsens the situation. It makes your life more difficult. It makes your family's life more difficult. And when panic trickles in, is when you start going into a spiral, in your head, and you start thinking loads of things. And I'm saying it's not worth it, because it's very treatable. Do not fear it. Of course, take absolutely all precautions never to get it. But in case you do get it, unfortunately, do not panic, because it is very treatable. That's one. Second of all, raise your immunity. I would say have a lot of vitamin C and zinc even in your daily life, which is what I did, and I hope everyone who watches this will do it, because that really raises your immunity. Now, people, they say people with high immunities also can get it, but you see, there are exceptions to every rule. But generally speaking, when you look at medically or scientifically, the higher your immunity, the better the chances of you getting over this faster. So keep yourselves physically fit, raise your immunity, have vitamins like mostly C and zinc, which is what is advised even online and medically, because that really enables you to get better faster. Because the stronger you feel, whatever age you are, the stronger your immunity is, the faster you'll get over this so-called illness. So these two things are all I'd like to tell people. And yep, I'm back on my feet. Lots of exciting things. I'm back with my family. I'm very happy. And as you can see, I've got this massive smile on my face. Poison releasing soon. And yeah, I'm catching up with my old friend after ages.
Lovely. And Mr. Bachchan and yourself both sent out the right message. I mean, he's back on the sets in KBC. I saw an
Yeah.
Instagram picture of yours that even when the pandemic was on, you had to go out there and do your job. So
Yeah.
it's not as though you're going to be scared after this on when you get back onto a set. The
Mm.
job has to be done, and you went out and did it. And it could have happened to you
Yeah.
while going to the market, for all you know.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Absolutely. Because the thing is, I'll just take a leaf out of what you're saying. It is absolutely true, because see, how long can you sit at home? You'll have to work. People have to earn their livelihoods, and ours is not a job where we can, work from home. Unfortunately, we have to be on a set. We have to be in that atmosphere to shoot. So like even rightly, Mr. Bachchan said that you have to go out there, and obviously with all care and precaution and safety measures. Like I said, do not fear it. You can take precautions, and like you also rightly said, if you go to the market, if you can get infected from there, who knows? And unfortunately, till today, I don't even know where I got the infection from, because it's invisible. People around me could have been asymptomatic, and they could have passed it on to me. As we all know, for 2 weeks, you can be asymptomatic up to 2 weeks. So it's a very tough one to gauge where you get it from. But just don't fear it. Raise your immunity. Work in a safe atmosphere with all the precautions, and keep your fingers crossed. Have faith in God. Everything's going to be okay.
Let's come to Poison 2. I mean, this obviously sees you reunite with a couple of your mates. I remember meeting Vishal Pandya during the Hate Story films and finding him to be a very interesting character. And also, I see these very bhaichara buddy kind of pictures of Rahul Dev, who's such a wonderful bloke, isn't it?
Yeah, he's amazing.
So, you're working with friends, working with Vishal, working with Rahul.
Yeah.
That must have added a sense of great comfort for somebody like you.
It did. So I know Vishal, starting with Vishal, I know Vishal since 2001. Like,
Wow.
he was the first AD on Awara Pagal Deewana with Vikram. So I did about 9 films with Vikram Bhatt, and he was AD on, I think, 8 of them. So I've seen him progress from being a clapper boy to being the second AD to be the first AD, all of that. And I've seen his growth. And I've always known that, sometimes when you work with ADs, you kind of get a hint that, actually, this guy I want to work with when he becomes independent as a director. So I knew Vishal had that magic. He had that touch. And then, of course, he became an independent director, I think in 2008 or 9, and then he did a couple of successful films. And then when Poison was actually offered to me, and then, I was told that Vishal Pandya is directing, I said, fantastic. I said, it'll be kind of a reunion. I've never worked with him as an independent director, but I think it'll be fantastic to work with him, because I know his pulse. He knows my pulse. He's seen me grow as an actor as well, under Vikram Bhatt's wings. And yeah, I think we will have a fantastic chemistry. And we don't even need to start it. It's just going to be there. It's going to be from where we left it, in the early 2000s or late 2000s for that matter. So yeah, it worked out like, absolutely smoothly as it can be. And then, of course, working with Rahul, it was, Rahul, a brother. He's like family to me. We've done 3 films in the past, and yeah, and 2 of them were with Vikram, and Vishal was on those films as well, like Awara Pagal Deewana and Footpath. Vishal was there. So it's so funny that the first day actually of shoot, the first shot rather of the show was me and Rahul, which is very strange because we don't have too many scenes together, but we have a few scenes together. And Vishal was like, dude, this is deja vu. I mean, this is like, this reminds me of the sets of Footpath when we were all there and we shot, and and it's just like we all had this lovely warm feeling with each other, and like you said, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. And I think it's like, it just worked out seamlessly. And I guess, sometimes when your stars are aligned, you work with certain people at a certain given point of time, and then everything just falls into place seamlessly. And we were lucky that we worked with people amongst ourselves. And not to take anything else from not to take away anything from the rest of the cast. The rest of the cast is absolutely brilliant, and I'm working with all of them for the first time, barring Pooja. I've done a few scenes with in a film that unfortunately got shelved. But yeah, of course, I know Lakshmi for a long time socially. Zen and Vin and Sakshi have not met, but of course, we've interacted on the sets. We have a lot of scenes, so kind of the whole thing just worked out brilliantly. And Vishal, being the captain of the ship, has really put things together beautifully.
I've enjoyed you doing comedy and romance. I want to see you do more action. Almost as though that dimpled smile.
Why do I love you so much? This is why I love you so much, because you actually get the pulse right.
Yeah, because it's wonderful to see somebody with a cute dimpled smile go and just beat up people. It's just,
Then
there's
you like
something in
Poison,
it
my
there for.
Then you
So,
like Poison.
I'm seeing some of that in the trailer. I'm seeing some Mardhad in the trailer. So in that aspect, it must hold true for you too. Saying,
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, you're wonderful. You're unassuming. You're like the boy next door. But God damn it, you've been in this industry a mighty long time. What is it? It's 21 years since Mast.
21 tomorrow.
21 tomorrow. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's like batting like Rahul Dravid, my friend. Batting the.
In a test match, in a really, really long.
Yeah.
21 years of test
It's
match.
it's not like the Sehwags who come in and hit a few sixes here and there. And no disrespect to Sehwag, but for me, it's the Rahul Dravids, the Aftab Shivdasanis of the world,
Longevity, I
long haul
would say, yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
So do you feel that way too? That you want to
Absolutely.
do more action?
You're basically stealing the words out of my mouth. So basically, you ask the question, you only answer my answers because you're getting everything right. No, you're absolutely right, bro. I've always wanted to do action thrillers. It's been personally my favorite genre. But unfortunately, people in this industry, when romantic films work or comedy films work, they don't perceive you in that. They don't visualize you in that kind of a role. And then it takes one film, one character to really work and set the ball rolling in that direction. And unfortunately, I haven't got that, in the films that I've done. And I've always wanted to do it. But like I said, you say never. People perhaps will see Poison. People will get an idea. They will realize that, okay, maybe this bloke can do something else as well. We shouldn't just limit him and put him in a box to do comedy or to do romance, because my personal favorite is action thrillers. And the reason I said yes to Poison instantaneously is because of the script and because of the character. And of course, the fact that Vishal was directing at Z5 and I've been talking for a really long time, Tarun. So it's been fantastic. But the one thing that really just nailed it for me at the beginning itself is the story and the character. Like, it is exactly what you said. He's smart, he's ruthless, he's intelligent, he's got charm, he's got a soft face, but he's really hard. And he knows how to play his game. He's strategic, he manipulates. And I mean, he's the guy that I always wanted to play. So yeah, so this is the reason why I did it. And I hope that, like you said, that I can deceive people with not my personality, but with what I do as a character, because the whole point of having a softer face with a stronger character kind of works very well, because it's like reverse psychology. And I believe a lot in reverse psychology. So I hope this works, Hrishi.
Yeah,
Aapke muh mein ghee shakkar.
you see these visuals of the Mahalakshmi race course and you doing some jockeying. It took me back to the late 90s. I was in college in Xavier's and I used to go to the Mahalakshmi race course and see Pacey Shroff. Used to be this just really
Yeah,
cool ghursavar.
yeah,
Used to win all the
yeah,
derbies.
yeah.
And you pretty much grew up in South Bombay, so the race
Yep.
course must
My
must be pretty
dad
close to your
lives
heart.
for horse racing, dude. My dad, I mean, if there's anything that he loves, little less than his family is horse racing. So, I mean,
To put
yeah,
it
luckily
mildly.
the family comes first. But yeah, I mean, if he lives for horse racing. So, I mean, for him, I'm like, Dad, look, here you go. My digital debut. And guess what? I'm doing this. It's all about horse racing and all about the race course. And he's really excited because he's he loves my work, but he's the critique that never says anything to my face. Like, my mom is overtly generous with her compliments, but my dad never really compliments me on my face. So I said, you know what, this one's for you. Let's hope you enjoyed. But yeah, it's all about the race course and all about all the politics and the revenge that goes on.
Yeah, I mean, and it's quite interesting because the racecourse itself is going through its own phase of trying to get that lease renewed. The
Yep.
government says this is the land that we own, and that seems to be one plot point. But do you
Yeah.
ride horses at all? I mean, not the Matharan
Of
types,
course I
but
ride. Yeah,
regular
yeah,
ones.
yeah.
You
Of
do,
course
huh?
yeah. I do. I'm not an expert, but I do. I have ridden in the past for a couple of my films, and in fact, even when we were shooting for Poison, I took the opportunity a few times to go horse riding, because we were shooting at a place which had a stable and lovely, beautiful rescue horses, actually, which are absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, so I did brush up my skills, but yes, I need to actually sit down and go to the amateur riders club and do a proper course to 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 eventually do a war film, which is my ambition, to do a war film or a historic, where it takes you back in time like a period film, and do actually ride a horse and do action on it. That's been like my childhood dream.
Lovely. So, Lakshmi is in this one. I'm seeing a lot of passionate lovemaking. When you ask actors about passionate lovemaking, there are two views you get. One is like, boss, don't make too much out of it. It's a very clinical thing. There are 100 people watching.
It is, but
You have to get it done with. So, it's not anything like what you think it is. The other end of the spectrum, I've also had actors say, okay, boss, I put my girlfriend's face or my wife's face in front when I'm doing those
that's
scenes.
ridiculous.
What is your take, man?
Oh man, yeah. I want to know who said that, but that might be really interesting
No, I
if
can
you
tell
say
you
that.
because it's out. Arjun Mathur said that to me. He's an actor who was in
Okay,
Zoya's Made in Heaven, and I was speaking to him about
okay,
Emmy nomination.
okay.
Interesting actor. He was in Luck by
Yeah,
Chance
yeah. I
also.
know him. I know of him, of course, of
So
course.
I was like,
And
Arjun,
congratulations to him for getting an Emmy nomination. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I asked him this question, and I said, any kind of lovemaking, especially when you're a heterosexual man and you're indulging in same-sex lovemaking, what do you do? So he said,
Hmm.
girlfriend's face in front. while the kiss is happening. I thought it was a cute thing. But anyway,
No, I'm sure things. I mean,
like
everyone
imagine
has
the
their own
face.
thing that
Imagine
works.
the
Yeah,
face.
yeah. Of course, you can't have to take out the girlfriend's face and put it like a mask. But yeah, no. I mean, I think whatever works for people. To be honest, for me, I do feel awkward. There's no denial about it because it is a part of your intimate nature that you share on camera and then perhaps subsequently with the whole world because they watch it. So it does, initially there is that bit of nervousness where you realize that there's going to be a really personal aspect of me that's going to be viewed by the whole world. But I think it all depends upon, no, I don't put anybody's face, if that's your question. I look at it completely professionally, and um, like whatever I do, if it's an intimate scene or whether it's an action scene or whether it's an intense scene, I'm yelling at somebody, I imagine that character. Like I imagine Sarah's character, I imagine Aditya's character in my head. And then, excuse me, of course it's, we all sit down and we talk about it. It's not like we just say, okay, uh, Mr. X and Miss Y just get together and just start doing stuff. It's not like that. We go through the scene and we understand the geography of it, and yes, it is very clinical, unless you perhaps a real life couple and then you just want to, it's like a free for all. But I mean, in this it's not, it's more like it's the angles, it's the lighting, it's where the camera is placed, it's exactly what looks nice. So those are the thoughts that really cross your mind. It's not that the fact that you're actually going to make out with somebody, and that's a very pragmatic and a very real way of looking at it, because I don't like, personally I get shy about it. Personally I get about awkward, but at the end of the day, I'm a professional. I'm expected to do what I'm expected to do within my comfort levels, and then I just do it. I mean, I don't even think about it, to be honest.
Being in the UK just before the winter sets in is also nice. The summer,
It's lovely
this
autumn, my
kind,
friend. The leaves
lovely
are
autumn.
falling.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
leaves are falling. And I was speaking to Pandit Ravi Shankar's daughter Anushka Shankar, who lives in the
Right.
UK, and she
Right.
said, being through the pandemic, despite everything, the parks were open, and she was like
Yes.
just going into the parks. And I saw
Yeah.
this lovely, lovely video. I think your lovely wife filmed it of you
Yes.
taking your daughter for a walk in the park. So is that lots
Yes.
of that happening?
Lots of that happening, of course, according to her timing, because she feeds and then she sleeps. So it's we have to juggle that whole thing around her. But yeah, that's the only thing we do. We are either at home or we take her to the park, because we're not taking the risk of going to restaurants or coffee shops at the moment, because even though that they are open, because she's really tiny and she's only like 10 weeks old, so we don't really take a chance because of her immunity. So we're being really careful about stepping out to places and coming back and sanitizing and having a shower as soon as we come back. So all of these things we're doing, but yeah, it's mostly the parks, and we love it because there's so much of open space. And we just take a couple of sandwiches and a couple of juices and sometimes a coffee and just sit in the park and just enjoy the outdoor, because unfortunately we don't get that in India. And at least while we're here, temporarily, we're going to enjoy that. My wife is born and raised here, so I guess it's just easier
Yeah.
because she knows her way around. But yeah, we're trying to spend some time outdoors. But at the moment, I am here with you, my friend, promoting my show. And I think after the show releases, because I'm doing a lot of interviews at the moment, I think after that we're going to go to the park and just enjoy ourselves.
Nice. So, do you read a lot of Atticus? Because your social media feed has a lot of these wonderful quotations. I've got to say, I enjoy it a lot personally.
Okay,
Because
thank you.
it's got to reflect a flavor of your personality, and it does so beautifully. So,
Yeah.
into reading a lot of Atticus's stuff. Yeah.
A lot of his quotes I resonate with.
Hmm.
A lot of his quotes I relate to, because they are deep in their own way. His romance quotes and his love quotes are just really stunning. I mean, I've read Osho, I've read a lot of Buddhism, I've read a lot of romance in terms of quotes. But Atticus is somebody who, a lot of his quotes are, a lot of people don't understand. They don't relate to. But yeah, I do relate to his quotes, and I find his quotes very applicable to my life and the situation that's happening in my life at that very moment. So whatever is happening to me personally at that moment, I give the credit, and I give those quotes at that point of time, because I think he's phenomenal. His quotes are, a lot of people won't relate to it. So I guess if you relate to it, then I think you're special, my friend,
Thank you, brother.
which means
So,
I'm special too.
you are. There's no doubt about that. So the production house. I mean, everybody knows that to be a producer, apart from having a creative bent of mind, you've also got to have some business sense. So are your Sindhi genes coming into play there? Oh,
No, but my wife's Sikh genes are coming into this, because she's my partner and she's my conscience as well. And Being a Virgo, she's really practical, and
Lovely.
I'm the imaginative, creative crab Cancerian.
Wow,
So
I'm
sometimes my
Cancerian. I'm
head
married to
is
a Virgo, so I know exactly what you're talking about, bro.
there. You go, there you go. So we have a lot in common there. So yeah, so she's got her ear to the ground. She's extremely practical about a lot of things, and yeah, so she's done a lot of business also in her life before we met. So she's got a lot of business acumen. So it's a kind of a perfect marriage, and she's creative as well. So it works out perfectly with creativity and business. But yeah, she handles most of that, and of course I'm there at the same time with her, but she handles it.
Why do you call it what you call it? It's a beautiful name.
Mount Zen Media.
Yeah.
So both of us love the word Zen. Both of us relate to the word Zen a lot in our lives. And Mount, the significance of Mount is like when you have Mount Everest, which is the epitome of the heights, the tallest part of Zen. So it's like a mount, like a mountain, but the tallest part of Zen. And media is just basically, it's not just production or intent, because media will encapsulate films, shows, documentaries. It's not just limited to films or shows. So we want to do a gamut of things. That's why we've called it Mounts and Media.
I'm going to come back to Poison 2. You're up against one of the trailers, the promos. It's not a giveaway, it's not a spoiler. Says Team Josh. So
Yeah.
are Lakshmi and her two business partners Team Josh? Is that what Team Josh
Yes.
is?
Yeah. Lakshmi, Zen, and Vin are Team Josh, and they are vying the race course. And then this guy Aditya Singh Rathore comes into the picture, and out of nowhere, and suddenly he's this mysterious guy who comes and changes the whole game. And then he starts becoming a thorn in their flesh. And thereafter, who he is, why he's here, what is his purpose, why is he so crazy and hell-bent on revenge, is the plot.
Lovely. What I mean, there I durust hai, but why did it take you so long to bite the web series bullet? I mean, it's such a natural thing because the kind of the genre of films that you started off, what Vikram and you were doing all those years ago, man, it just lends
Yeah,
itself so beautifully to this format, doesn't it?
it does. It does. And in fact, a lot of it was I think ahead of its times.
Yeah, of course.
In
Yeah.
fact, now if they're made, they'll be a perfect fit. But of course, because the web space and the OTT platforms and the kind of content that's being made there is also present and futuristic. So it's not regressive.
Mm.
Therefore, perhaps a lot of it that we would have done in the past would have worked now better. But having said that, why I bit into this billet late is because I was offered a lot of stuff, but like I said, I was searching for something that I could really sink my teeth into and do something that would creatively satisfy my soul. And Poison was the perfect fit because it had everything that I needed. It had action, it had thrill, it had romance, it had a strong character, an intense character. And intensity is something that really does it for me in life. I love comedy as well, but I think there's a different kind of intensity in comedy. But this intensity I'm talking about is the intensity of suspense, mystery, thrill, excitement, adrenaline, all that, and all that is there in Poison. So therefore, when I heard it, even though there I dosed that, but I just said, let's do it.
Well, interviews should always wrap before the celebrity starts getting a little bored.
With you,
So,
I can never get bored
what a
because I
sweet
am
man you
so
are.
I am so happy looking at your yellow shirt and yellow t-shirt that it's bringing so much of vibrance into the interview. I'm thinking, where are all my colored clothes? My wife keeps telling me, why do you always wear gray and black? I'm like, I don't have anything else in my wardrobe. And she said, you must wear a colored t-shirt or a colored shirt for your
Yeah.
interview today. And I said, well, okay, I couldn't find it in time, but there we go.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that in the UK, everybody's wearing grays and dark colors in any case. So
It is, yeah,
it's
because
nice to.
we're actually matching the weather, and you're actually matching the leaves outside,
Yeah,
by the way.
well said. So my last question is I'm going to take you back even much before Mast. Let's end with your favorite child actor memory. I mean, there is so many, man. But
Yeah.
what's your favorite child actor memory?
Well, for obvious reasons, it will be Mr. India, because that was my first exposure to the world of acting. Of course, I did the Farrex ad when I was 14 months old, but obviously I have no recollection of it.
Obviously.
I was just this toddler and running around in my nappies. But I think Mr. India gave me an exposure to a different world. And then, of course, the pleasure of working with Anil Kapoor sir and the late Devi ma'am, Boni ji, Amrish Puri, and with this bunch of crazy kids. We were 10 of us. Shekhar Kapoor, obviously, the genius. I think all of that really changed my perception of a lot of things. Even at the age of 7, I started at the age of 7. And I think that would be a memory that I would cherish, because Mr. India, as we all know, is a cult. To be part of a cult is always going to be special, I mean, for the rest of my life. So that I would go back to, and I think always say that that is my one memory that I would say is my favorite.
Aftab, you're a good man. Can't wait to see Poison 2. Lots of love to the family, to the wife, to the
Thanks,
child. Stay
buddy.
safe and healthy.
You
God
too.
bless you.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Thanks, Rishi. Pleasure. Chat soon again.
Thanks soon.